Hi, I'm Kylie Roberts.
And I'm Mel Wunwell, and we are Shift Unlimited.
In this podcast series, we will be doing a deeper dive into many facets of living and leading in this modern world, from founder to scale up, right through to leaders of global established organizations.
We will explore how we can be more holistic and authentic as we connect more deeply with ourselves, our relationships with others, and the wider world.
Let's begin. Welcome to today's podcast, where the topic is sub-modalities. If you remember from an earlier podcast, the modalities that we all use to create meaning in the world are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. The sub-modalities are the finer distinctions within each of these modalities. And why this is valuable is that the sub-modalities are the programming language of the mind, which means we can learn how to run our mind when we become aware of sub-modalities. They give meaning to our internal representation. For example, if I was to ask you to get a picture in your mind of a dog, the content of the picture will be the same, that is, it will be a dog, but the meaning will be different for everybody, for different people, depending on the sub-modalities that are used to store that information. For some people, it's an image of a dog, or maybe it's a movie of their pet moving around. For others, it would maybe be a cartoon image of a dog or a drawing of a dog. And for others, there could also be a less positive image given past experience with a dog, or maybe what they were told as children about dogs from their parents. The sub-modalities of the word dog give order and meaning to our individual internal representations.
This is valuable to know in both leadership and coaching, as with awareness and practice, we can learn how to increase our sensory acuity of submodalities and their impact on our internal representation and our behavior. The power of this is with this awareness, we can help ourselves and others to change minor unwanted states and beliefs. As leaders and coaches, it helps us to stop mind reading what people may or may not be thinking and feeling, and become better at truly understanding what's going on for the other person we're engaging with, which will be a stronger connection and a stronger rapport. The other person will feel heard and valued. When we mind read, we are essentially making up how the other person may be feeling based on our map of the world, which is highly likely to be incorrect, as they haven't lived our lives and we haven't lived theirs. When we stop mind reading, we spend more time being curious, open, and in inquiry.
Another valuable reason for really understanding and working with submodalities is that when we change submodalities for ourselves or for others, if we're in a coaching relationship, and with their permission, of course, we can change the meaning of the internal representation to be more helpful, be more liberating, and be more empowering.
So a client I was working with a few years ago, we paused the coaching for a few weeks because he was in quite a bad car accident, not caused by himself at all. And it took him a while to recover from it. And when we had our next coaching session, it was the main topic of our conversation. And he said, I just can't sleep. I'm so tired. Every time I close my eyes, I relive the memory of going around the roundabout and that load from the lorry falling on top of my car. So I asked him to just talk me through, when you see that movie, what do you see and what do you feel? What's the speed of it? Is it in black and white or color? The sound, is it in your own ears or is it external? And we unpicked the submodalities of the movie that he was running. And then we changed them all. So he was running the movie in really slow motion, every second slow and slow. So we sped it up really fast. And he was running the movie in color. We turned it into black and white. We moved the sound around. And I recommended he just kept reliving that movie in the new submodalities that we talked about to change it and shift the experience for him. When we met a month later, he said that he had slept really well for the previous month and could now operate and function. So how will we work with submodalities in today's podcast? is to briefly share the traditional NLP approach with you and then focus on where we tend to use submodalities, where we find them to be most useful in this VUCA leadership world. We have the ability to change our internal representations of one thing to another. So, for example, someone we dislike to someone we like, or something we dislike, like a food, to something we like, or vice versa. A limiting belief we believe to be true to a belief that we no longer hold as true if it's holding us back. Before we get started, it's important to know that there is something called a driver when we talk about submodalities. And the driver is the one submodality in a person that if it changes all the submodalities. It is, in fact, the difference that makes the difference. To bring this to life for a moment, if you can, if you're not driving or operating machinery, close your eyes and bring to your mind someone you really like. And notice where that picture's located. Is it in front of you, to your left, to your right, a distance away, close up? Now, shake that off and bring to mind someone who you really don't like. And notice where that picture is located. Where are the two people located? Are they in a different place? Quite often, location is one of the drivers in submodalities. The other one is whether we are associated or dissociated in the picture. So this is also a driver. We talked about associated and dissociated in the anchoring podcast that we'll be doing next. So just a quick start of a 10. When we are associated, we are looking through our own eyes, so we can see something as though we're in our own body. When we're dissociated, it's like we're looking at ourselves on the screen or in a movie.
Many people who don't understand submodalities can get this around the wrong way or get into a bit of a muddle with associated and dissociated, so much so that they might associate into bad memories, feeling all the feelings of it all, and then often dissociating in good memories, so they don't get the benefit of all the great feelings that go with a good memory. So if you find that this is the case for you too, all you need to do is just swap these around and it becomes a lot more fulfilling experience for you. The way that we tend to use submodalities in our day-to-day begins with simply noticing the sensory acuity of what is going on for me right now. What are the submodalities of that? So what do I see? What do I hear? And what do I feel right now? And once we have a sense of the submodalities, we consciously move to change them to something else. A little bit like Mel has shared with the example before. So again, if you're in a space where it's okay for you to do this alongside us as we speak, we'd like to invite you to close your eyes and to do a visualization with us right now. We will focus on some submodalities. So go ahead and close your eyes. And as you sit here now, notice the feeling of where your body is in contact with the chair, if you're sitting in a chair. And take a few long, slow, deep nostril breaths to settle into your body. Choosing to close your eyes, perhaps. And now let's do a body scan, and starting with our feet. Notice your feet and ask yourself these questions of, in my mind's eye, what do I see here at my feet? What am I hearing? Any sounds? What does it feel like right now? And as you scan, asking those questions, as you scan up your body, through your legs, into your middle body, your upper body, what am I seeing? Are there any sounds? What am I hearing? And what am I feeling? You might notice heaviness or lightness, tension or ease, as you work your attention from your feet to the crown of your head. And now, fully aware of what your current experience is, go back to the places where there was tension or heaviness. Maybe just pick one for now, a place where there's tension or heaviness. What is it that you see here? So what color is the tension? Is the tension moving or is it still? So maybe change the color to a different color. Maybe change the size of the tension or the heaviness, make it smaller. The texture, make it soft and fluffy. The weight, make it light. If there are any sounds, make them different sounds. So changing the submodalities, turning any heaviness or tension into something that is much lighter by changing the weight, the shape, the color, the size. Notice, are you associated? So are you looking through your own eyes, experiencing it right here, right now? Or are you dissociated, watching it on a screen playing out in front of you? And experiment with changing it from one to the other. And now take 3 slow, deep, restorative breaths. And then if your eyes were closed, open your eyes.
If you're curious about what are the submodalities of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, we'll just share a few of them with you now. So we've mentioned some of them already. In visual, the picture, you can notice whether the submodality is black and white or color, whether it's near or far, bright or dim. As Kylie's mentioned before, the location of it, the picture, the size of the picture, whether you're associated or dissociated, whether it's highly focused or blurry and defocused, whether it's framed or panoramic, and whether you're running a movie or a still. There are some examples of the visual submodalities. For auditory, it's location again. Is it inside your head or outside? It's the direction, whether it's loud or soft, fast or slow, whether the pitch is high or low, whether there's pauses or whether it's consistent. And kinesthetic, again, it's, as Kylie said, the location of the feeling, the intensity of it, whether it's light or heavy, the size of the feeling, the shape of it, the movement and duration of it, the pressure and the weight. So they're examples of the various different submodalities. And simply becoming aware, as Kylie said, with sensory acuity and actively making changes to experiment with a new internal representation through these submodalities can really be very powerful to use daily. So we encourage you to find someone to experiment with, so who will work with you and give these submodalities a go. It's such amazing work if you're really committed to helping people make transformative changes in their lives, like it was with the client I mentioned earlier. So thank you for listening to the podcast today. Click to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram on @shift_unlimited.